So, first order of business, we've already had the budget session, so now we're into the regular select board meeting for Monday the 13th of January for the Jamaica Selectboard. I'm calling for any late additions to the agenda.
Yeah, I'd like to do a little presentation, stuff of the River region.
Let's hold that. Let's get through the things that aren't on the list first. If we have time, we can do that. Okay, I didn't know you wanted to do that. That would have been good to know at noon today, or Thursday.
I didn't know at noon today.
Okay. Oh, it's something that's come up. Well, we've got a couple things that have come up. Well, let's get those things down. I'm going to put you in here because we may have time for it. All right. Second order of business. Oh, I'm adding some other things that have happened since our last meeting. There's a broadband project that's getting started. Chris Robbins has been kind of sort of honchoing it out of the planning commission. So he's going to make us a brief presentation just to give us a heads up because their meeting is Thursday. And so we wanted to have us on board before he goes to the meeting. So we're going to cover that really quickly as well.
Where do you want to put that?
I'm going to add him in the 6th slot because we've had to change the road foreman use of salt and sand on town roads. He got a conflict, so he couldn't make it, so we're going to slide him into the 6th position.
Okay.
All right, so the real business is the December 9th minutes of the December 9th select board meeting. They were all sent out by electronics. Anybody need a copy paper-wise, or everybody's had a chance to review them? Are there any questions, deletions, complaints, idiosyncratic spellings?
I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion about the minutes for December the 9th? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? They pass. Once again, thank you, ma'am. The next item is to approve the timesheets for the town office, Lister's Highway and Transfer Station. And as is our usual, we save those to the end of the meeting so we don't tie everybody up. The next item of business is the select board orders. That follows the same pattern as the timesheet. We'll do all those things at the end of the session. So the next litter order of business, this is number 5, there's a request from new property owners for permission to improve a town trail. Lexa, who is our road commissioner, has been working that project and she's going to give us a quick briefing.
I've got it written down because I tend to wonder when I talk.
We've never noticed that before.
This is a request from Jared, if I pronounce your name wrong, I'm sorry, Lyndall and Willoughby Britton, to improve and maintain the portion of the Under the Mountain Road and Town Trail number 8. Town Trail number 8 is ours. The upgrade on the Town Trail number 8 is approximately 0.2 miles, that's 1,056 feet. I have spoken with Shane O'Keefe, this is the Londonderry administrator, as the requesters are asking for the same on Londonderry's Town Trail number 2, for the same what they're asking here. I've also contacted our attorney Paul Gillies on this matter and forwarded the request to him for review. The town will require an agreement addressing the upgrade, maintenance standards that ensure public safety and access to the town trail. No barriers, fences, or lock gates may be installed. The trail cannot be paved. A waiver of liability will also be requested. The requesters will bear the cost of all the work to upgrade and maintain the trail now and in the future. They will also bear the attorney fees for the agreement and waiver of liability. Access permit, which I have a blank one to give to them before I leave, must be filed with the town. That's state statute 19 VSA 310. Requesters must notify the abutting landowners on Jamaica side, and I have a name and address for you there. And it should be done by certified mail. When you receive the return receipt, just make a copy and send it with the agreements. When the agreements have been presented to the town, the select board will forward it to Attorney Gillies for his review. The request will be subject to the board's approval of an agreement and waiver of liability. Keith Hazard, our road foreman, was going to be here, but he had a conflict of interest. He and I have been looking at the project, and there will be it will not affect the town in any way, any other trail or anything like that. And Wesley Amadon apparently is going to be doing the work, who's a reputable contractor, and everything is done correctly. I do have a copy for the select board of the minutes, what they did in Londonderry City Planning. I should have given to you earlier, but that's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
My understanding is you talked to Paul, and you, Paul Gillis is the town attorney, and you also had communication with Londonderry, and that their attorney is writing up the,
Their attorney, which is, Fisher is their attorney, and he's drawing up the agreement for the town of Londonderry, and I'm hoping that he'll do it for us, for you folks, for Jamaica.
Sure.
it should be very
Basically the
similar, I
same.
think.
It should be similar.
Yeah, I think right now the status is that the town of Londonderry had a couple things to add to his draft.
Okay,
And we're gonna check in with Bob, probably Thursday of this week to see that revised version. But we
Okay,
had
and then when
no
we get
real
that-
concerns with the first version anyway, so I think they just maybe wanted to add a few more things around waiver of liability, right of ways,
okay,
things
so
like
when
you
we
just
get that, and the select board will also do that.
Okay, good.
For you. Okay.
Now, are you aware, this has come up in the discussions that we've had, that even though you're maintaining the road, there's some state regulations on water management that may or may not impact you. Luckily, Wesley probably knows these things backwards and forwards,
Yeah,
and I have every confidence he can make that work. But just so you guys are aware that there are some nuances of how to manage that might be a.
yeah, I think I wrote that into the
In the letter,
proposal.
that-
Yeah.
Yes.
There's one particular water course that's pretty close to the beginning of it, that I think we just want to make sure that any drainage is not feeding directly into that, but that it's dispersed in a
Right.
wider area. That seemed to be, from my read of the documents, what the concern was, and yeah, we'll make sure to relay that to Wesley tomorrow again when we do a walkthrough.
Excellent, yeah, he's a good choice, I think, and it sounds from what I read and what Lex has researched out, it sounds like a really good idea, good project.
We did have one question for you all. We don't know if you'll know the answer, but given that this is actually technically town trail number 8, down the road, when we put a cabin and a residence there, what would the address be? Will it still be considered under the mountain
You
road?
have to go get a 911 number,
Okay,
and I don't know
if they will consider it under the mountain
If
road or not? Okay.
if it's Jamaica's number or Londonderry's number, but it'd have to be Jamaica's.
It'll be
number.
Jamaica for
It's
sure,
Jamaica's
yeah.
number, yes, we have a 911 coordinator,
Okay.
who, when you're ready for that,
They'll give us an
they will
address.
give you, yeah, or you can call the town clerk tomorrow, and she can give you the paperwork and, or advise you as to
How you-
where it is. Yes,
Nice to meet you, Ben.
yeah. So,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
but you will need a 911 address for fire and rescue.
Right, right.
Stuff like
I
that.
figured. Okay, and I just, we weren't clear that if it would be under the mountain road anyway, which is sort of how the property was listed and is currently
Right.
being considered, but I guess we'll take that up down the
Right.
road. Okay, I'll let you.
It probably will be.
Okay, that'd be great. I like that name.
Anything else you'd like to bring up? Where everything's okay?
I mean, I think it's, as far as we're concerned, as long as the proposal meets with the general Jamaica
Yeah.
town standards, and we'll work with Wesley to continue to make.
standards.
Right, well, then.
Road access permit.
Okay.
And this is the details names.
Yes.
And we probably already have it.
We haven't met them yet, but, so we
You're
can
gonna
write them at this address.
Yeah, when you send just a little note what you're doing.
Okay.
This is the-
Yeah, that's just their stretch that we share.
yes.
Okay, it'd be great to reach out to them.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Lisa.
All right.
And welcome to the community, by the way. When are you closing? Have you closed already?
Yeah.
We just closed last Friday,
Last Friday.
so,
Welcome.
thank you.
Should we make a motion to accept this proposal?
Well,
I mean,
we can make a motion to accept the
We don't
proposal
have to, I don't
contingent
think.
upon the,
meeting with,
Legal review.
Right, the
what's
agreement.
The agreement, that's.
Agreement and a waiver of liability.
Sure.
And then Attorney Gillies will look it over, and
So our motion would be to approve pending, review by our Attorney Gillis. Does that make sense with you guys?
Yeah, so just so I'm clear on this, do you want Bob to represent us in this, or do you want Bob to connect with your attorney about what he's drafted? How is the previous work that we've done with Londonderry gonna connect?
because you're sharing Bob Fisher with Londonderry, right?
Bob's, I think, technically representing Yeah, I guess we are, because
You are, that's what it said.
I think that's right, because he's representing
Yeah,
them
we'll have
too.
Paul Gillies, when you talked about Fisher, he can contact Paul Gillies too if he wants.
Can you let me know, spell that last name for me?
Gillies.
Ah, yes, okay.
Yeah, he's been around for years, so
Okay.
Bob knows who he is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we really need to do anything right now?
Well, the request is that they are asking our permission to maintain,
Right.
correct? We have to approve that
Okay.
because they're doing work on the trail. And we can approve it pending review by our attorney. So what we're doing right now is we're approving it pending the review of the attorney. If he says yes, then we don't have to have any more meetings and these guys can go ahead.
Right.
Yeah. So I'd accept the motion.
I guess I'll move for what he said.
Said we had those. The motion is to approve the request for permission to make improvements to Town Trail number 8. We have a
I'll
motion.
second. I'll second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
I
All opposed? No. Nobody? Then it passes, and as soon as the attorneys make whatever they do, you're all set. Excellent. See, good that worked out, because you closed it.
Indeed. A bit nervously, yes, but yes.
Well, good luck.
All right,
And
thank you all.
it's awful pretty up there.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Is there any structures up there yet?
No.
No? When do you expect to start building up there?
Maybe early summer, maybe, but we'll need permits, of course.
Sure. I was gonna say, partly because you have half the fire department sitting right behind you. If your- Yeah, if your address turns out to be Under the Mountain Road,
Okay.
as long as you can mark it in such a way that Under the Mountain Road goes up this trail, or you're with your name or something up the trail, so
Yeah.
that when we're out looking for it,
Yeah.
it's easy to find.
Because it is a little weird that you'll have to come through.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah. There are other places like
our
that.
road cards are set up, so what's South Londonderry will be there before we
Right.
get, half of Tri-Mountain will be there before we get there. So
But still, to know where to go.
it's
is good.
set up to where Londonderry ambulance will be your ambulance service, London South Dairy Fire will be your primary. We can't get there. They got parts of their town, people and residents in their town that we get there before they.
Right, that's just how it works.
So
Okay.
it's set up, somebody's coming. Just, yeah,
Just so there's a
first,
sign
who gets there
for everyone
first?
to go off that trail instead of following that road first.
Right, well, the road really doesn't, I mean, where Under the Mountain goes in that area, it will be unambiguous, because technically where Under the Mountain Road goes, you couldn't
Nobody
possibly
could drive on
drive. So it'll basically just be a clear continuation, it'll take a turn onto their town trail and then onto Jamaica's town trail, and I think it'll be pretty unambiguous.
Okay, the point is, try to picture yourself in a snowstorm rushing to an emergency.
Yes.
When there's a fog, people
We
are
wanna
running
know where to
over. We want it to be as obvious, I'm part of the problem, we want it to be as obvious as we can.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Sounds good.
All right,
Be
good luck.
self-sufficient. I mean, just kind of prepare. It's not gonna be a 4-lane highway today.
All right.
Welcome to our office.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, bye-bye, see you guys, good night. Alexa,
I'm all set?
you all set, ma'am? Thank you very much, and I know you made some arrangements in your life to get here, I appreciate it. The next item we had, it was on the agenda as a discussion of road foreman. As I said, he can't make it. He had a scheduling conflict. And so at the same time, as that was developing, we got a letter from Chris Robbins about the Wyndham Regional Commission has announced a new broadband project. And he's going to meet on Thursday, if I'm correct, with Wyndham Regional. And so, just so you have some sense, we, the select board, have some sense of what's going on, if you could give us about 30 seconds worth of that.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, 45, I'm flexible.
So the WRC is initiating a new broadband project to bring high-speed internet to underserved areas of the county. They have a grant, they're partnering with two firms, ValleyNet and Rural Innovation Strategies, Inc., to do two things. One is conduct a feasibility study, and the second is develop a business plan for whatever their feasibility study finds. In this study, they're going to define what they call communication union districts. And these are areas in which this ValleyNet can implement a internet network to serve that area. And I'm reading between the lines, but I don't think these districts necessarily have to conform to town boundaries. So, as it stands now, we have high-speed internet running up and down Route 30, runs up Windham Hill Road. I think it runs on some of Route 100, but I'll check and make sure of that before the meeting. But speeds drop off the further you get away from Route 30. So the northern and southern areas of our town may really want this. So what they want from the select board, after hearing, I'll come back and brief you on the details, but then they want to know whether we want to participate or not, and they need a resolution from the select board to that effect. And they need the select board to approve a person who's their representative. Now, the planning commission appointed me as a provisional rep to go find out what's going on. You can confirm me, I'll be glad to do it, or you can appoint somebody else and you won't hurt my feelings. But it does have to have select board approval.
Sure, gotcha. Do you have any questions?
We talked about it briefly at our meeting a month ago too, and I think, I know myself, and I believe Tom also are planning to attend the meeting also. So,
On Thursday?
I'll be there.
Thursday.
yeah, so we'll
At the
have,
firehouse, right?
Yeah.
At the Dauphin Firehouse.
we'll have good representation.
6 p.m.
That's good.
There's a little point of information that, and I don't remember who told me this, but apparently SV Cable is going to sell to Comcast.
I told you.
You told me.
It was on the paper.
I never
It was on
seen
the
it.
internet too.
Huh?
The internet carried it.
I'm sorry.
The website and the internet.
Okay, so we should
Carry
keep
it.
that in mind when we're considering this.
Unless it's contested.
Yeah, they don't have state approval yet,
Right.
but
How much of this will cover? For example, we don't have, we only have regular phone on where I live, on
Yeah.
Turkey Mountain Road. So I don't know whether the internet would be a part of this, because.
as far as what they're implementing, it definitely would be.
It would be.
Yeah, and you're not that far from Route 30 that
And we're 2 miles in,
2 miles in.
almost exactly 2 miles in. And it's about a quarter of a mile down to the first point where people can get cell phone service. So we're really out of it.
Now,
Terms.
this project isn't so much for cell service, but if you were to get high-speed internet, you could get your cell service through Wi-Fi. through
Right,
internet.
through what? yeah,
Correct.
through- Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if they formed one of these communication union districts with, say, the northern part of Jamaica and southern part of Windham Town, it might, meet your needs very well.
Yeah. Well, interesting to see where it goes, because I guess it's sort of
Yeah.
happening around the state, isn't it? These
Yes.
CUDs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, well, at your first convenience after
Yep.
Thursday.
Well, I'll put you on the agenda for the following select board meeting. You guys are going to be there, so we should have a pretty good discussion. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to put you on for next meeting.
So Chris, did you, there are going to be continuing services where they're lacking, like going towards Brattleboro? Do you know?
Well, the study, if the study can pick out an area.
Pick up an area that
needs
people
it,
need it? Okay,
Then they'll,
okay,
that's exactly what they'll do.
okay. Because I know people there that said they would like to have it, they can get it up there. I just knew that Vermont Cable couldn't go that far because they didn't have the funds to do that.
can say one other thing. What they will require in this first phase is for us to conduct a survey of our townspeople.
Right.
The planning commission has on its to-do list to conduct a survey for another purpose, so we could get a twofer out of this.
That would be good. Save on stamps.
And they'll want to know who wants it and whether they're willing to pay.
There is right, yeah. So that's information that it's gonna take us some time to gather it all, but interesting to see what happens.
Yes.
Good. Listen, I want to thank you for picking up the mantle of this thing and running forward with it. I appreciate it. For giving me the heads up on this thing, because I missed it. I knew we talked about it, but I didn't realize it was happening quite this quickly.
Well, yeah.
Kind of came quick.
I guess they just got the grant in December.
So thank you very much. Any other questions? So when you have our blessing, good luck with this meeting. You're gonna have plenty of company apparently, so hopefully they're feeding you.
Feeding it. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
If you want to get attendance, yeah.
You have to have food. Right,
Exactly.
Yep.
Anybody who's ever been, well, it's not a story, you know what I'm about to say as far as feeding your patients. If
Yes.
you work with adolescent kids, you better bring food. We're doing really good on time. Joel,
Yeah.
you have something for us, sir.
We are.
That's right.
Okay, so, the last, community development meeting, we had a speaker from, USDA, whose office is in Brattleboro. Her name is Andrea Assabin Allen. Okay, Andrea Assabin Allen.
Can you spell that for her, please?
Sure, I'll give her the card. And apparently there are many, many programs that are underutilized from USDA because people don't know about them. And they have grants for septic systems, private. They have grants for businesses. They have grants for nonprofits, and they have grants for the municipalities. We happen to be eligible for a grant for water and septic in this town. I mean, it's not a full grant, but they will also coordinate it with other grants and with other loans. She or one of the other representatives there would come to meetings to speak about them, and I would strongly suggest, she's a wealth of information, I would strongly suggest we invite her, and it would be good if it could be, or her office, and it would be good if it could be well promoted, because people can ask personal questions. I mean, there are very low-grade requirements for certain things. They have seniors, furnaces, the grants for seniors, for furnaces, not only for seniors, for handicap grants, septic grants, business grants, energy efficiency, for-profit business groups, small businesses, they have grants for that. They have one of the grants that's often utilized is for public toilets. So they will help finance a public toilet. I know that's come up in town a number of times. So that's basically what I have to say. I mean, some of their home repair grants are only 1%. If they're not grants, they're loans, they're only 1% loans.
So, another question, is that the same outfit that has rural fire, rural development? It's for like fire, dry hydrants and fire department grants.
U.S. Department of Agriculture.
We've talked and discussed that in the fire department about tapping into some of these grants, and it can't say for sure if that's part of it, but it's similar to what
But-
the DA has out there.
She's sitting there at the phone. Right?
Yeah.
And it's underutilized. They have a lot of money that doesn't get distributed because people don't apply for it.
Or they don't know it
They
exists.
don't know it exists. That's exactly right.
That's what we were told back, it's almost 80 years ago.
Yeah.
We were kind of looking at like fire apparatus, paying for a fire apparatus, getting grants.
So I brought back a stash of data that I'll give to Sarah. And
Okay, thank you.
it's there for your perusal.
I just ask, so a septic grant, say someone's septic has failed, it's private, citizen.
Yeah.
I know someone who may have taken, this may have been around quite a few years ago, even, and they got a grant to put a proper septic in, had X amount of time to pay it back. So
Yeah.
they had to meet some eligibility requirements, but it was pretty fair.
Yes,
But I'm just asking, anyone could ask.
anyone can ask.
Right. About any of those things you mentioned.
Right, there are divisions of grants for individuals,
Right.
especially for seniors, but also for, anybody who needs it, really. For towns, municipalities,
Right.
fire departments, I would assume.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, there you go. We have time for public concerns. Anybody, do you all have anything you want to bring up?
Well, I'm gonna kind of throw it out there. There's a group of Jamaica taxpayers that are attending another meeting tonight. I don't know if you've all paid attention to the Jamaica website that's out there on Facebook, but there's a possibility we're looking at a 19.1% increase in our school tax. The concerned group of citizens are heading down there to challenge the school board, the MUD school board, to about how they got to that point that Jamaica citizens are paying for it, and other towns in the group. And they're also challenging the transparency of how they came about with it. There is some concern that, things were done, they're probably not by the book. So, they're confronting them, they're challenging them to come up with answers and try to figure out how the Jamaica taxpayers are gonna, some of us who can't, there's the older generation can't, they're gonna have a hard time. We're gonna have a lot of tax sale or people not paying taxes. And that's just the school side, that's not the town side of it. So 20% increase is pretty
Significant.
That is significant. I think on the paperwork, a house rated at $2,000, valued at $200,000. Thank you. And 2 acres was like $600 added onto your tax. Well, my house is about that value, and I have a little more land to it, so I could look at almost $1,000 increase in my taxes, which is pretty high as it is. So I just wanted to point that out, put it on the air, that maybe we need to question our school board about it and really hammer it down, and probably when it comes time to vote on it, we might want to consider not voting for it.
Let me rephrase it, as opposed to not voting for it, voting against it. Because not
Voting
voting
against
for
it.
it could be not showing up.
Yeah, I
We
don't
need
know
to
how
show
they're
up.
gonna throw the question out there.
We need to show up. Just to clarify his point, because he alluded to the budget, we've just gotten through the budget process, we've worked out a lot of the details. There's gonna be a tiny raise, 0.07 or 0.7, where's my numbers?
I think that was.
The first one,
0.07, no, 0.7, help me, come on, you guys, help me with the number.
0.7.
Yeah, 0.7, it was a zero in some of this. Anyhow, less than 1% is what we're anticipating raising. It'll all go to the town in March, but that's kind of the budget we put together. 19.1 for the school, 0.7 for the town. We're doing what we can.
Well, with Act 46, I'm not gonna get on, well, I am gonna get on a bandwagon, because I feel strong about it. Act 46 was brought about to lessen the cost of education and to better the quality of education of our students. I see a real large increase in my taxes, which is not getting better, and we might have to cut programs for our kids.
So it's reverse of what they're telling
to make it survival. It's a lose-lose situation with us.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up, and I'm glad you put it out for the rest of the community to pay attention to, because it's clearly something we need to pay attention to. The select board has no power at all, except to encourage the rest of the community to get out.
To get active, 10 meetings.
Yeah. Yes.
I had occasion during the Act 46 study to learn how to use the state's spreadsheet for computing school tax. And I predict they won't be able to explain it to anybody. That's what this thing goes on for pages and pages and pages with terms and coefficients flying in from everywhere. But then when they get to the end, they divide by the number of students. And when the number gets lower, you know, that's the way numbers work, the changes get bigger and bigger. And we're really getting screwed by the state's funding. It worked pretty well when we had maybe 100 kids in the primary school and 1,000 in the high school, but now it's really, and we're a net exporter, we're a cash cow for the state. That's the other thing.
It's another little equation that needs to be thought of 6 times. I think the message for the citizens of Jamaica are, there are individuals out there tonight working this problem. We need to support them, and we need to everybody get involved with the school, because we're talking about, what, $400,000 I think we ended up giving them last year, is that what it was? I don't remember the number, don't quote me, but a lot of money for taxes.
$1 million.
How much?
$1 million.
You gave her $1 million? I was thinking 400,000.
No,
That was only taking $1 million, of course.
Oh.
A lot of money.
Remember Terry saying she wrote a check for something like that.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of money, and 20% is a lot of money. Yeah.
Have we ever considered getting our representatives in the state legislature to appeal for some relief from this?
Oh, we've considered it till we're blue in the face. The problem is getting it done. Yeah, we're considering it, and obviously they need to be involved. They have to be involved, because it's a state kind of a thing.
There are members of our legislature sitting on that board.
Yeah.
And the other board that's the Dover Wardsboro one.
Right.
They are sitting there. They are hearing it. They are hearing the plight, but they know our hands are tied. I don't know. I'm maybe a bit more aggressive about this, because, I mean, it's, in the end, the kids are the ones that get hurt by this.
Well, this conversation needs to be held, obviously, multiple places around here. I'm not sure this is it, except that we would like to see the Jamaica residents mobilized next year.
Yeah, mobilize.
Okay, one last thing before we call it a night. You know, some of you know we've been advertising for a town health officer or assistant town health officer for some time now. Wednesday afternoon, short notice, on January 15th in Bennington, there's going to be a health officer training for the afternoon. Again, that's Wednesday the 15th. If anybody's any interested at all in that, get in touch with me tomorrow and I'll help make it happen for you.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Without, I'm a past town health officer, I did it for 9 years, so I tried to do it the best I could. And we're without a town health officer, so it falls on the chair and the board. So the chair absorbs that duty on top of being the chair. And it's an important and gratifying, sometimes very interesting position. It does serve a great purpose and helps the state out a lot. Not a popular topic tonight, but it is a hardship on the board or on the chair to do this too. I feel that when it rains, it pours. With the health officer position, you can go months and months without anything, and then 3 or 4 things. And there's a stipend. Was there? Yeah, $350 or something. But if they're laying more duties on that position, then we as a board would present to the town that maybe there should be a bigger stipend, and just would like someone to be in, to come forward. You can talk to me or Paul.
And if-
But I can tell you the highs and lows of it, or
Yeah.
it's.
And if you're not able to make the training, there's all kinds of on-the-job training and time finding out. Yes.
Just an observation that this might be a good place to share with other towns and make it a hired position. Especially since you say you go months and months without anything. So it's not like it's a full-time
It can be,
thing.
no.
Hmm?
It can be.
It got busy
Can
for
be.
Irene.
And also, I'll bet you there's also a bit of resistance to it because you have to go to somebody's house alone.
Well, and not to interrupt you, but it's hard to encourage someone to step forward when they're adding in more responsibilities and,
Checks and balances.
to say the least. And it's a state, so what Joel was saying about, you may be talking about a bigger stipend or a compensation bigger than a select board member. If it really turns into, for example, if you do, well, if I go on like this, no one's gonna ask, but if you were asked to do an inspection for a landlord or a tenant, as soon as you commit or you make the contact, that's it. You can't solve anything by word, informally. It's a formality now. There's forms. There needs to be sent here and there. The water testing is more. There's a lot more tests than E. coli and total coliform. So there's another, like was just mentioned, you got to go to someone's house. Sometimes it's a landlord-tenant dispute. Sometimes it's a failing septic. It's very important that those kind of things get resolved. But there has been some talk of towns combining it, but that doesn't seem to be working.
I think the piece of that you're referring to, I think, and again, I'm brand new at this, I'm learning as I'm going, but it seemed a conversation I had referenced the idea that the town health officer ought to be a local person, so that you're working with the community in which you live. Or that somebody shows up to your house is not a stranger, it's somebody within the community structure. And I'm not sure whether that weighs or outweighs the fact we don't have anybody at all, where we could get someone from a couple of towns, for example. So there may be some progress in that direction. The truth of the matter is, the two that have popped up since I've been on resolve themselves very easily. But everywhere in Vermont, everywhere in the country, I know the fire department suffers from this, every place. It's very difficult for people to find time in their schedules to volunteer for these kinds of things. This particular one is fairly discreet. It's not something that you're going to be yanked out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning for. Hint, hint. but it's something that you can actually do a contribution to the community without major disruption of your life. And it's a major contribution, it really is. So it's just something to think about. I'm going to go to the training on Wednesday. Anybody's interested at all, get in touch with me. We can work something out. So, yes.
Just wanted to mention, I think probably many people know this, it's the cafe across the street, Workhorse Cafe, is going to close because the building was sold.
Because why?
The building was sold
And you came by that information
from the website,
from whose website?
05343.
From the town's website.
Well, Karen's website.
Karen's
The owner told my wife too.
They put it on Facebook.
Did they?
Yes.
I just want to make sure that we
No, it's public,
Kurt Teresa put it
it's
on
public
Facebook.
information.
All right.
Yeah, so, and they're looking for another place to be, so that's a sad thing for us
Very
because
sad.
it's really the only food place in town
Yeah.
besides
they're nice people.
Karen.
There's very few nice people. We want to keep them. Anything else for this evening? Any other motions anyone would like to make?
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned, and it looks like 7:38.